east. So we already got aeroplane jets in Cyprus, UK, and another line in Scotland, Wales. Don't know about America, but it said it's kicking off. So they've been posted there and stuff, and shoot most of these missiles down from Iran to Israel. So we're going to see what the GB News says about it. If you've not seen it yet, give me 1 second.
Mark, what might we expect in the minutes and hours ahead?
Well, that attack is no longer imminent. It appears to be underway as we speak. There are reports and also images of what appear to be missiles coming over the Jerusalem area, sounds of the Iron Dome anti-missile intercept system springing into action in that area. And
well, just to interrupt you, Mark, Mark, we're receiving live footage for those watching on GB News online or via your televisions. We've got live pictures in Tel Aviv, Israel, and we've got these strikes. You can see these missiles. Now, do we know whether these are drones or are they ballistic missiles? Well, what are these devices? Can we be sure?
Well, that is still to be determined, but certainly some of the images I saw over Jerusalem in recent minutes appear to look like missiles. Now, the Iron Dome missile systems are very distinct. The lights that head up into the air and then explode. But there appears to be what may well have been missile trails. We have heard from Iran this evening saying that in addition to launching dozens of drones, they have also launched ballistic missiles. We should say that there are reports that the US, the UK and other allies have been involved in shooting down many of these drones and missiles over Iraq and over Syria as they made their way to Israel this evening. That has not been confirmed officially yet from the Ministry of Defence, but sources are suggesting that type of activity has been taking place. What the Ministry of Defence has confirmed to me this evening is that they have moved more RAF combat jets to the region, to Iraq and Syria, over that area, to take part in Operation Shader. Now, Operation Shader, you'll probably know, is the operation that was to take out Islamic State. It's still in operation there. They launch regular strikes on extremist targets in Syria and to a lesser degree in Iraq, but part of that job as well is to defend the airspace around these sensitive sites from any kind of ballistic missile or drone attacks. So it is perfectly plausible, indeed likely, that those British combat jets may have assisted in some way to
go on UK is what I say.
These ballistic missiles and drones as they headed towards Israel. But
I'm getting excited a bit now.
Of course, the viewers can see it on screen. Those who are not
our army's blowing them down.
Our website as well and see the latest images. We are seeing images coming out of Jerusalem and out of Tel Aviv, showing the Iron Dome system in operation, intercepting hostile aerial vehicles, either drones or indeed missiles coming over into that airspace. And I've just heard from the IDF as well that there are multiple sirens now sounding in areas across Israel, down the Dead Sea, also the Jerusalem areas we've just spoken about, Tel Aviv, northern Israel, and the Negev region, of course, which is southern Israel, the Negev desert. Now, the original expectation of security sources was that there was going to be an attack this evening that would target the Israeli military bases in the northern Golan Heights and also in the southern Negev desert. But it may well be that some more central areas have been targeted as well, Mark.
Mark, this appears to be revenge for Israel's alleged attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria on April the 1st. Now, Israel to date haven't claimed responsibility for that attack, but it's widely assumed that it was their work. Is this response going to be the end of it, or does Israel now retaliate?
Well, on that point, and that is a very good question, because we have had a statement that has come out from the Iranian mission to the UN saying that the strikes that we're seeing today were conducted, they say, in accordance with Article 51, their right to defence, in response to that attack that they blame on Israel.
Most definitely.
Against that mission in Damascus. And they say in that statement that as far as they're concerned now, as long as there is no retaliatory action from Israel, then the matter is concluded. Potentially an important statement, but there is no way, I don't think anyone that knows Benjamin Netanyahu and knows what his doctrine, military doctrine is, which is you strike at us, we strike back, and we strike back hard, that given a direct assault from Iran by air in the form of missiles and drones launched directly at Israel, I think it's just inconceivable that Israel would not launch some kind of action against Iran. So we are in a very, very dangerous situation at the moment where things.
Well, one of the British troops on the ground or something.
The first wave,
The planes have been
according
there.
to Iran, of ballistic missiles has been launched.
US
Do they
troops.
plan any other? Not according to that UN statement, but there's so many disparate messages that come out of Iran. We have to treat them all with
Just go over there
abundance of
and
caution.
take the planes and bomb them over
Indeed,
there.
Mark, finally, for now, Israel boasts one of the finest, most sophisticated and well-tooled up military forces in the world. They are prepared for this attack. That's been their clear message all evening. Tell me about how well prepared they are, and tell me about this Iron Dome, a literal shield which protects the country.
Iron Dome.
Yeah, they are enormously well prepared, and they've had to be, because for many years now they have had to endure rocket barrages from Hamas, from the north, from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon into northern Israel, and so the Iron Dome system has been perfected over
North
a number
Pole.
of years. There are thousands of
Iron
missiles
Dome.
across the country, and they will intercept even hundreds of missiles coming in to their airspace. But if there are thousands of missiles launched in waves from Iran, that's a different story. Even the Iron Dome system would be depleted. But they also have, of course, very significant numbers of combat jets, almost 300 in the way of combat jets, F-15s, F-16s, F-35 jets, the stealth combat jets that we have in the UK as well. So they have, of course, the capability to take out.
They always
aerial
drag us people in from the UK,
and to
don't
take
they?
out aerial targets
For
further
war.
away from Israel as they approach Israel. And in addition to that, they have naval assets as well with their anti-missile systems. So they're well equipped, but when it is a very significant attack, inevitably, and I've seen it when I was in Israel, missiles get through, drones can get through. And if there is any of these missiles or drones that do impact and cause significant damage or worse, then you can expect a very significant response from Israel.
Wow. Don't know what to think about that then. There's got to be more stuff on there.
Sirens in the background. What can you see? What's
No
going
sirens
on?
now.
Well, we're hearing quite a lot of activity now. You can obviously hear the sirens. We've been told by the Israeli Defense Forces that they are prepared for a scenario. They warned that there would be sirens heard across Israel when these drones started to come in. We're also hearing the sound of explosions as well. We've seen a lot of what look like air defense interception systems over Jerusalem, and we've heard explosions.
World
as
War
well.
III,
Now,
it may as well be, I
exactly
mean.
that is, we don't know. But certainly the warning was that the drones would hit Israeli soil at around 2 o'clock. So very soon, it's coming up to that hour now. Now, throughout the evening, we've also heard the sound of warplanes going overhead, fighter jets. We're told by the Israelis that tens of fighter jets You heard another explosion there in the distance, slightly off to my left. Over here, we can see another one of the interceptions happening just above us. It's like a streak of yellow going on the sky above me. But we've been told by the Israeli Defense Forces that they've got fighter jets up in the air trying to intercept these drones as they come in, tens of fighter jets. We also understand as well that American planes and British planes have been involved in bringing these drones down as they approach Israeli airspace. A number of those have been hit around the border with Iraq, but clearly a very fluid situation here, very alarming, very eerie hearing those sirens. People across the country have been warned to stay inside, stay close to their bomb shelters. But it seems we're just seeing more flashes across the sky as we speak now. But it seems you can hear the punctuation there. But the hope is, of course, from the Israelis that they can bring all of these drones down. And I think the big question really that many people have is whether or not these drones, another explosion there, whether these drones get through, whether they cause any damage, whether there is any loss of life, and what the reaction will be from the Israeli government and obviously the Israeli Defense Forces. The danger, of course, is that these drones do get through, they do cause damage, and then a very volatile, febrile situation escalates much further. The risk, of course, is that this heads towards a much wider regional confrontation, a regional war. But that's the situation here in Jerusalem. Unclear at the moment what is going on in other Israeli towns and cities.
Absolutely dramatic pictures there, Alex. And I mean, as you say, you're in Jerusalem. Just tell us, how rare is it to see these kinds of interceptions in Jerusalem? Because, of course, it is something that, for example, on other borders outside of Jerusalem, the Israeli border, these interceptions do happen. But how rare is it to see it over Jerusalem?
I think we're hearing more explosions, actually, Barbara, in the distance, quite faint away. You probably can't make this out, but I'm also hearing a lot of car alarms that have been set off as well by the frequency of these explosions. It's pretty unusual, really, in Jerusalem. It does happen. Hamas, of course, has the capability, or had the capability, to fire rockets this far, but it is quite unusual, certainly, to see that many interceptions going on here. Jerusalem, of course, is the city that Israel calls its capital. It's a disputed city, of course, not recognized by most of the international community, but pretty unusual. Of course, the other place which will be a focus is the commercial capital of Israel, Tel Aviv. Not sure at this stage, as I've been talking to you, what the situation is there. Just before we came on air, we were also hearing, and this is through Hezbollah channels, this is the militant group based in Lebanon, that they had launched volleys of rockets into northern Israel. There will have been interceptions there. So in the southern region, around Gaza, you frequently hear sirens going off. You frequently see interceptions from the Iron Dome air defense system. And in the northern region of Israel as well, that flashpoint with Hezbollah, that has been, of course, extraordinarily active since October the 7th. There are daily exchanges between the Israeli military and Hezbollah, but very unusual here. It seems to have gone quiet at the moment. We're seeing more interceptions overhead, but I'm assuming, because the sirens have gone off, that the main danger has passed. But you have to remember, with those sirens, most Israelis in Jerusalem will be heading for bomb shelters because of the position that Israel finds itself in. Israelis are very used to those kind of drills. The
craziness,
Home Front Command
I wonder if there's anything else about it on here.
The day that this situation could arise. We know that schools have been cancelled tomorrow and for the days going forwards.
Well, that is just...
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the retaliatory attacks launched by Iran against Israel. I'm Lana Zach. Israel's military says over 100 drones were fired from Iranian territory. The IDF says its air defenses are prepared for the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says its war cabinet is meeting in Tel Aviv tomorrow. Additionally, we are learning that U.S. forces and other allies of Israel are all mobilizing to provide assistance. Some of the drones have at this point been taken out. And this attack is significant, in part because it marks the first time that Iran has ever launched such a large military assault on Israel, particularly important that it came from Iranian territory. CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb joins me now from Tel Aviv. Imtiaz, we have been talking about this. You've been updating us in the last couple of hours ever since we first learned that those weapons had been launched from Iran. And now the IDF says that sirens are being heard across Israel. Tell us what you're hearing and seeing there in Tel Aviv.
Lana, a lot has changed, especially in the last half hour or so, where across southern Israel and indeed even in Jerusalem, those sirens started blaring, and we started seeing the first images of what we can only understand is Israel's Iron Dome, or even its Arrow missile defense system, intercepting those incoming Iranian either drones or even missiles as well. Again, it's unclear at this stage.
So they make it like you can't get the whole screen in.
Is that
so look the half
whatever
screen.
Iran launched all those hours ago has now made it into Israeli airspace
like
and
that.
have been taken out. Again, this is only
see the
really
screen
been
out, can't
happening
you?
in the last half hour or so. We received a number of alerts here on our phones, which no doubt caused a huge amount of alarm in many parts of this country as people were bracing for what was the inevitable. Now, again, as far as we know, everything so far has been intercepted. We have not heard of any reports of any kind of missile or any kind of drone making contact or target with anything yet. But again, it's still very early hours. The concern is that this is the first wave, Lana, that we can expect over the next minutes, hours, for more waves of incoming from that Iranian strike. But I should tell you that we have also received a statement which comes from the Iranian mission at the United Nations, and I'm just going to pull up this statement that we have from the Iranians, where they basically have said that they have concluded their campaign, for lack of a better phrase, well, we've reached out to our sources on the ground inside Iran. They say that the Revolutionary Guard themselves have not publicly said that this is concluded. When you look at Iranian state TV, it is now talking in past tense, which is significant in moments like this, that they are talking in past tense. Whatever the case, we are still waiting to see what will happen in the next coming minutes or indeed hours. As we've been saying, sirens have gone off in different parts of Israel, and we've seen interceptions in Israeli skies.
And Imtiaz, that statement that came from the Iranian mission to the UN, I believe that we actually have a full screen, if our control room can put that up. I'm going to read it to you. Part of what they were saying was that this was a retaliatory strike in response to Israel's action that they believe had taken out members of their military that were in Syria at an embassy there, according to Iran. They say, quote, the matter can be deemed concluded. However, should the Israeli regime make another mistake, sort of telegraphing about what they want Israel's response to be, quote, Iran's response will be considerably more severe. It is a conflict between Iran and the rogue Israeli regime from which the U.S. must stay away. So obviously warnings there, even as they're saying that this matter is done, but they do not want it to further escalate. So Imtiaz, we understand that you've been seeing there.
As if they want to stay away, they want to stop the problems, don't they?
That the defensive operations
they cause the problem.
Shoot down those domes have so far been successful. Are you actually seeing some of those explosions in the sky?
Yeah, so here in Tel Aviv, which of course is on the coast. We did see what we believe were 2 intercepts, but again, it's really over the skies of Jerusalem, where of course many journalists are based, and they have a lot of cameras pointed to the sky at this hour, where we saw the majority of those interceptions. But again, if you look at
UBS News.
the areas where most of the sirens were, it really was in the south of the country. And what is in the south of the country? Of course, you have the Gaza theater, but really what you have is the Negev desert, which is a very large, very open space. There are Israeli military installations there, but there's not a lot of people there. Now, as we were anticipating just what exactly was going to happen over the next coming hours, we saw intelligence reports from various agencies saying that Iran was going to be very specific in its targeting, that it, even though it was targeting Israel, and as you said in your introduction, I think it's such a crucial, vital point to make, that this is the first time that the Iranian leadership has done this. This leadership, which has been in place since 1979, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has carried out strikes on Israel. Again, 44 years we've not seen this. It is so important to underscore and point out just how significant this is. But again, if what the intelligence that we were reading bears out that the majority of these drones and missiles potentially were targeted to the south, which again is a largely unpopulated area, then that is a
it's kind of crazy
signal from the Iranians, which is we wanted to show that we were responding to the devastation of
the British are getting involved in
the
US.
What triggered this specific response from Iran is that on the 1st of April, the US confirmed that the Israeli military targeted the Iranian embassy inside Damascus, destroying that building, killing a number of people, including a key general. Now, in saying all of that, if it is true that the Iranians targeted relatively empty areas, again, it tells us that they were wanting to show a show of force and show of strength, but were perhaps trying to be a bit more deliberate in not targeting densely populated civilian areas. Again, this is some
US
of
are
the
already involved there.
The
The US are trying to stop the rockets from coming in.
Whatever
with the UK.
From the Israeli point of view,
They shot a few down.
that doesn't matter. They have been targeted by Iran.
They don't want the rockets to go to Israel, do they? Or the drones, do they?
Have to respond. And although we had that statement that you read out from Iran saying we've concluded it, and essentially saying that they want to move on unless Israel does something else, it's very clear Israel will have to respond. How Israel responds right now, we don't know for sure, but we do know that Israel's top leadership are here in Tel Aviv meeting at this very hour.
Very interesting about that. Imtiaz, I'm also struck by the fact that you have been monitoring Iranian state television and the changes that you've witnessed with that. I'm hoping that you can tell us a little bit more about what you've seen.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So our sources on the ground have been kind of trying to paint a picture for us as to just what the mood in Tehran, the capital, is right now. And basically what we've learned is that it's pretty quiet there right now. It's obviously the very early hours of the morning, as it is here in Tel Aviv as well, although there are some university students that
it's 1:30 in the morning for me in England, in the UK, 1:30 in the morning.
There. But in saying that, right now there doesn't seem to be an indication from what we're seeing that the government has in the days preceding this strike
I had to cover this on YouTube and talk about it and film it because
what I mean by that is
it's something different. It's like Russia and Ukraine.
This is the start
then you get the
that they would have put in some
these problems as well
in place to beef up their military presence in parts of the country, tell people in populated areas to perhaps move out of that area, and none of that has happened. Again, these are from our sources on the ground inside Iran. So,
like I say, this is not Russia and Ukraine, is it? It's Israel and
calculus believes that
Iran.
What they launched, while significant and was important for them to show as a show of strength and force because of what Israel did inside Damascus by targeting its embassy there and indeed killing that general and a number of other people as well, that maybe the Israeli response won't be the kind of response that so many are afraid of, in that we could see an all-out war between these two countries, and that would be devastating. We have to remember, Iran is an enormous country. 90 million people live in Iran. It is twice the size of Ukraine. So the
Fucking
idea
hell,
of
yeah.
a full-scale war between Israel and Iran, I think, would be catastrophic for Iran. Of course, would be terrible for Israel as well. And that, of course, is something that the U.S., the White House, the president has said very clearly they do not want to see. They do not want to see the war in Gaza engulf this region. It's something they've been trying to push against from happening for over 6 months now. But again, we are in uncharted territory, Lana. We have never seen Iran target Israel like this. And the question now becomes, again, what will Israel do in response?
All right, India's tie-in there in Tel Aviv, thank you. You see on your screen right now some of that activity that's happening over Israel. These are shots of Bethlehem and the skies over Bethlehem late in the evening into the early morning hours.
I don't think Israel is going to run against Iran, though.
Major cities in Israel.
That's calling USA
Many
and UK, I
of
think.
these flares that you're seeing are believed to be action by the
Absolute madness.
Israeli defense.
Could the world get any worse? She probably could, couldn't it? Get some worse with some kind of thing, really.
Joining us now is NBC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel. Richard, what are you seeing now?
So things have been developing here in Jerusalem, Andrew, over the last few minutes. It just stopped a moment ago, but I have a feeling it will start up again any second or in the next few minutes. So I am in Jerusalem. Behind me here is the old city. You can make out the old city walls. And a short while ago, we heard the air raid siren warning people to get off the streets. And now there are very few people still out on the streets. But what we saw here, which I have not seen here before, was an enormous amount of tracer fire, rocket fire in the skies. They seemed like they were part of the air defense system, not the Iranian drones. They were coming from in and around this city, but firing up in that direction. And if we stay together for a little bit longer, I think you'll see more of it. At one stage, just in this sky behind me, you can see a little bit of it. You see an orange dot up high that's moving. I don't know if you can see that ball. Sometimes those there just exploded. Don't know if you were able to see that.
Yes, we can. But, we can see it, Richard.
Before, there must have been 50, 60, or 70 of those streaking across the sky here behind me as we heard the air raid sirens. So clearly there was a perceived threat. The systems went off, the alert system went off, and then these flares, these rockets, which have the ability to explode to potentially intercept these drones, were deployed in very large numbers. There's one streaking across the sky right now that I think you can see almost like an orange shooting star.
Exactly.
And a few more up above it, and now one coming in the opposite direction. And this has been going on for just about the last 20 minutes or so, which is right around the time that Israeli officials predicted that the Iranian drones would start entering into Israeli airspace. So we're going to keep following this and see what happens as this very unique air war, that was just an explosion there, is happening over the old city in Jerusalem.
Richard, to see this happening over the old city is remarkable because usually, well, specifically in this instance, we were told that they did not expect this to be going near targeting civilian areas. There could not be anything more dense than the old city.
No doubt. And the Iranians have described this operation as taking place in 3 phases. The first phase, all over the next several hours. The first phase with drones, with a massive launch of drones from Iran. Second phase with drones being launched from Iraq and Syria, also toward Israel. And the third phase, ballistic missile phase. We have gotten a confirmation from the Israeli military that some missiles have been fired toward Israel. No exact confirmation of the type. But will they be launched at Jerusalem? Are they being launched at populated centers? Clearly, the air raid systems here have detected a threat. The sirens went off, and now we'll see if it continues. But for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we had a very intense scene with the defense systems trying to protect the skies over this ancient and holy city.
And we have more reporting from Courtney Kuby I wanted to share with you, Richard, which is that the U.S. military intends to shoot down these drones and missiles, whatever they can, when they come into range of any U.S. assets in Iraq, Syria, and at sea. The U.S. has, as you know, beefed up its air defenses in recent months since the attack on Tower 22. They have repositioned assets in the region to be ready for this Iranian attack. You know, the CENTCOM commander has been there in Israel and in the region as well, coordinating. And they've already shot down some Iranian drones tonight, according to U.S. officials. We're trying to get more details. So we don't know what you were seeing and what you shared with us, but this could be part of it.
No, what I believe what we were seeing here was part of the Israeli air defense systems, but a different kind of defense system. Maybe it was coordinated with the United States. Now, for the last 6 months, almost everything has been coordinated. But these are not the items, the drones coming from Iran, because you can just tell in the direction. If we turn around, you can see coming. That's the opposite direction. That's heading toward Tehran. So just to sort of orient us ourselves on a map here, behind the old city is Jordan, and Iran is in that direction. Right. So if we're seeing some of these rockets coming from the West Bank, so behind the old city, you drop down into the Jordan Valley, you go throughout the West Bank, you go across the Jordan River to the Dead Sea into Jordan. Jordan also says that it is using its air defenses. Jordan's also a very close U.S. ally to shoot down drones flying over its territory or Iranian missiles going through its airspace. Jordan is one of the several countries in this region tonight closing their airspace.
Richard, take a step back and let's talk about how the region is going to respond. Because there has been so much anger at Israel from its neighbors because of the way it has conducted the war in Gaza, and at the world, frankly, because of the siege and the deaths of Palestinian civilians. We've all experienced it. We've talked to the leaders. I've traveled the region. You've traveled the region. Will this change that calculus, as clearly the White House is pivoting towards its ironclad defense of Israel under attack from Iran?
Across the region, there is the Middle East, the Arab world, the broader Islamic world. There's a very different conversation being had than the one in Washington than many of the ones in the United States. There's a tremendous amount of anger against Israel. There's a tremendous amount of sympathy for the Palestinian people, not necessarily Hamas, but the Houthi attacks. When the Houthis have been carrying out their attacks on Israeli shipping or on the Red Sea, they've generally been celebrated for that on the street, even though they've been attacked. And Iran, it seems like, didn't want to lose this moment. It felt that it needed to respond to an attack on its embassy compound in Damascus, and it felt it was the right time because it has a bit of momentum. Now, that could prove to be a terrible disaster. Iran could be walking into a trap and walking into an escalating war with the United States and Israel that is beyond anything that it can handle. But the mood on the streets right now is another one, again, that's heading in the direction of Iran, not coming from Iran. Not close to Iran, but heading in that general direction. So that's why it's pretty clear that these are being launched domestically, not incoming fire. But the mood is very much against Israel on the popular street right now. So I think Iran, by doing this slow motion attack that is very visible, potentially not causing many casualties.
Well, if I zoom in,
it's still early,
I can see it a lot better.
Here. It could have a symbolic effect. And there was a statement from the Iranian mission on its official X account saying that after this, Iran can consider this issue closed.
We were discussing
however,
that just
if Israel escalates it further. So, yeah, it was interesting that they came out and said, well, this is it for us. We can consider this closed. But if Israel makes, I believe the wording was, another mistake, our response will be more severe, something along those lines. And Iran is clearly projecting it wants this to be the end of it. but that doesn't mean that this will be the end of it. If some of these ballistic missiles come and cause large numbers of casualties, Israel could easily respond in kind, and we could be in a very different situation in the next couple of days. But if this slow rolled out, that is, at this stage, causing a lot of drama, but not much casualties, drama which will be seen all around the Arab and Islamic world, which will probably make Iran look strong, like it carried out its promises. It could be that Iran feels that it's accomplished its mission with just what it's doing right now. But we will see.
And we only have less than a minute left, but it depends on how Israel responds in any case, because Israel very much felt after the attack, the hideous attack on October 7th, that they had to prove their strength and reassert their strength and the fact that they were the invulnerable Israeli army. And so now you're into another
that's
whole
why you've been doing this for so many years. It's all about perception and all about deterrence. Israel was badly wounded, embarrassed. It felt that its capabilities were, it didn't live up to its capabilities. Its reputation was damaged after October 7th and had to prove its deterrence. Now Iran was humiliated after its embassy compound was attacked in Damascus. Now it has to prove its capacity with drones and ballistic missiles. But will it go beyond? Will it go beyond this? Is what we will see probably in the next daylight hour, when the daylights come. All right.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
I don't know what to say about that. I really don't. But anyway, I've done a bit of a video about it. I may do some more about it tomorrow. You got a rough idea of what it's like. Some people haven't seen it, but anyway, thank you for all joining me. Gonna get some sleep. Take it easy. See you tomorrow and do some more videos. All right. Peace. Thank you for all joining me if you're new and subscribing. See you in the next video. Take it easy. Peace. Thank you all again.